take those two right turns, and when they make the final turn, they can begin to hear the crowd and the noise of the open end of the stadium.
Here it is, the most exciting 25 seconds in college football.
All right, everybody, hello, and welcome back to the Two Right Turns podcast. Once again, filling in as guest host this week. My name is Ross Taylor, and I'm joined by a couple great guests this week that I would like to have introduced themselves, and that would be, so it's no players this week. We decided with an open date, we'd pull from our coaching staff a little bit. So if you would, can you guys introduce yourselves, your name, title, the years you played at Clemson, and let's also go favorite player growing up.
Wow. Take it away, CJ. You got it, man.
So CJ Spiller, coached the running backs here at Clemson. Played here, former player, played here from 2006 to 2009. And then my favorite player growing up is Ward Dunn. He's the reason I wore 28. Not just what he done on the field, the stuff that he done off the field was what really gravitated me towards him, and kind of have a great relationship with him to this day. So Ward Dunn is my guy.
Tyler Grisham, I coached the wide receivers, also a former player, played from 05 to 08, so was CJ's teammate. We'll get into some of this, but I did a lot of blocking for CJ. All right, I was a wide blocker, not a wide receiver as much as I did block for him, man. But favorite player, I grew up a Tennessee fan. I was born in Tennessee, then moved to Alabama as a 2-3-year-old, and still have family in Tennessee. My parents moved back to Tennessee. So, man, I grew up watching Peyton Manning, Peerless Price, Travis Henry. That was just Tennessee. Loved him. But also, what's funny is, you said Ward Dunn. I loved watching Peter Warrick for Florida State.
Yeah.
Peter Warrick was a dog, all right, and he returned punts. I mean, he did it all. Great athlete. So, I could say a few more, but probably those are the first that come to mind.
Well, this is different, too, because we haven't had a ton of coaches on here. It's mainly been players, and so I've kind of got contemporaries on age now, so you're all speaking my language, and you're talking Tennessee.
Yep.
You coach T. Martin's son, Amari Rogers.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's funny because I actually have T. Martin signed helmets in my office back home at home, and so that was cool, and I got to connect with T because of Amari, and so it's funny how fast time flies and how God works in mysterious ways. So pretty cool.
All right. Well, let's not talk about how old we are. So we don't have many rules. This podcast is less than a year old. We don't have many rules, but we do have one, and that is, if you are inducted in the Clemson Ring of Honor in the last 72 hours, we have to invite you and talk about it. So, CJ? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, everybody give it up for CJ.
Let's go.
All right. So, I mean, the ceremony before the game, I know you received the call in the summer, and there have been many accolades. You've been inducted in the Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame. In your second year of eligibility, you go into the College Football Hall of Fame. But, I mean, as we pull up some of the photos from the ceremony pregame, you're such an even-keeled guy all the time, which everybody appreciates about you, but the emotion was evident all over your face on Saturday. What was going through your mind?
Honestly, I mean, it was just conversations that I had with my grandparents, just me really thinking about all the people that played a part of the journey. And I just kind of just let those emotions kind of just take over because, like you say, everybody know I'm kind of even-keeled, I mean, it's funny, this story here, like I lost, I think this shouldn't be against the NCAA rules, but I lost a bet to my family because everybody knows, like, I'm not a huge emotional person. Like, when it comes to, like, crying and all that stuff, I think I kind of get that from my grandfather. And so going into it, my wife had asked me literally, like, 2 days before. She was like, "Are you going to cry?" I'm like, "No, I'm not going to cry. Like, I already done this before, being with the College Football Hall of Fame." And so afterwards, they're like, "Pay up." Not anything. No congratulations, but pay up. But it was just, honestly, man, just thinking about just those people that just played a part, of pouring into my life. And then just really, like, you see the hug there with Coach Sweeney, man, just that belief, like I told him in that letter, just that belief that he had, to me, was really what set him apart from everybody else, because he was really, truly true to himself and believing something that was truly, truly, truly strong in his heart. And so I was just overcome with it. Honestly, I wasn't planning on crying, but it just kind of just took itself.
When did the first tear roll? Was it when the video started? Was it when you saw the name up there? When was it?
Oh, it was before the video.
Yeah.
Because normally my routine on game day, home games, I always dap up the little people that throw up the flame things. I don't know what they call.
flamethrowers.
The little girls. So I always got them up before. And so as I'm walking out there, I'm like, okay, you know how you finna cry, you can kind of feel it coming on.
Yeah, a little misty.
Yeah, it was getting a little misty. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, it's already getting misty out here. And they ain't even started. And then looking up on the Jumbotron, just seeing the highlights, and then obviously they done a great job in seeing those Union County highlights. Like I said, it just took me back to just really just that 6 and 7 year old kid that just wrote down all his dreams that he wanted to try to accomplish in life, and knew that it was going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication for it to happen. And that's kind of what you see right there in them pictures, is just taking me back to just those moments.
Can I say something too?
Yeah, come on, Grish.
Well, it's cool because, you know, you look at Coach Sweeney and he was overcome with emotion as well, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just so proud of CJ. And then I'm sitting there and kind of, you know, getting emotional myself. I would expect that,
Yeah.
but you know, that's my teammate and colleague, right? Like,
Yep.
and then I look around. I'm not going to say any names, but I wasn't the only one. And we had sunglasses on, thankfully, a couple of us. You know, I'm looking around and like it was cool because you've got people on the staff that know CJ personally, and then have, you know, played, you know, at Clemson, were his teammate, and just love Clemson, you know, and so got to see CJ grow up, right? Come to Clemson as a young man, and then get to where he is today. So there's a lot of people, coaches, you know, players that were really, you know, struck by that moment. So I think there was a lot of people that were just very proud, you know, of CJ, and just thankful to kind of be a part of it, and to be, you know, have a place, you know, or have a relationship with him. So love you, bro. It's awesome, bro.
Man, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. But I mean, because like I said, you know, Friday night we had the dinner, and I talked about that. I mean, you don't get those things by yourself. You know, it take a lot of people that plays a big part of that. And like you say, you know, former teammates. You know, Grish, I played with him for years, and you know, he's a part of that success. He's a part of some of those big runs, cutting guys down the field, blocking. DeAndre McDaniel, he was a part of, you know, all my 7 kickoff returns. He was on that team. Mm-hmm. You know, Daquan Bowers. And so, I mean, you just think about all that, and then, you know, just the fans. I mean, I can't thank Tiger Nation enough. Mm-hmm. I mean, they just mean so much to me, and just to get the warm reception that not only myself but my family receive. I mean, it meant a lot. It's definitely a day that I'll never forget in my life.
Well, and I'll speak on behalf of them. I know it meant a lot for them as well, for all of us who appreciated watching you, loved watching you, love who you are as a person, for them to be able to show that respect and just have another minute or 2 minutes to, you know, just celebrate and commemorate what you did and what you meant here, I think meant a lot to everybody. It was a misty-eyed kind of day. I found myself getting choked up a little bit seeing Coach Sweeney and Coach Elliott and the big bear hug.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw Coach Elliott had kind of come off the sideline to tip his cap to you.
I did. I kind of pointed to him, and I had some conversations with him before the game. Yeah. And, you know, and that's one thing that I always respected about Coach Elliott. You know, it goes back really to that when I got inducted for the College Hall of Football Fame. Because, I mean, I never think about that stuff. I don't want to go around gloating. And I mean, he really pulled me to the side one day in the running back room. It's like, no, you really need to, you know, have great appreciation. Not that I don't have great appreciation, but man, what you done, that's not easy. That's uncommon stuff. And that's the same conversation that we had on Saturday, because probably like the last couple of weeks, ever since they had it up there, every Friday, I really tried not to look up there. Yeah. Unless somebody came and tapped me and pointed, like Coach Sweeney was doing it every Friday. Because I really not wanting to pay attention to it. And then, you know, before the game, Coach Elliott did the same thing. He was like, man, look. I'm like, nah, Coach, I don't want to look up there. But, man, just very appreciative of him and the words that he poured into me for the time that he was here and the time that we got to spend together. So I was able to really show him his appreciation as well.
So the three of us weren't the only ones getting misty-eyed. And again, this is where I encourage the folks who are listening to us by audio only to join us on YouTube or Clemson Plus so you can see what these guys are seeing. This is Phil Maffa as you're going in, and we're going to show him reacting here and getting a little misty. You see him having to wipe away a couple tears as he sees his coach up on the Memorial Stadium facade. And here's his shout-out.
Hey, what's up, Clemson family? Phil Maffa here. Today, Coach Spiller got inducted into the Clemson Ring of Honor. You know, I even got emotional just seeing him, all that he's been through, and the man that he is now, especially to us in the running back room. You know, he's such a leader and a great example, great father, and he's been amazing. And I'm just so proud of him, and I wish him the best. And I know he has more success to come.
So this is a question for both of you. As a coach, as someone who controls their playing time and their happiness and all of that, it's probably really easy to garner compliance, but it's probably a lot harder to garner respect and admiration. And clearly you have done that. As a coach, what does it mean to hear something like that, and why is it so important for both of you to garner the type of respect that you command in your rooms, not just for who you are, for what you do, but also the type of people you are?
Well, it was about to get a little more misty in here just then. I'll tell you that. I think that's why you do it, and I think Coach Grisham agrees. Like, you get into this profession, really, to me anyway, is to just have an impact on these guys' life. Not just football, but just their daily lives. And that's what I try to create. That's the atmosphere that I really try to create in the running back room. Like, yes, football is very important. It's important to a lot of people, that's involved. But to me, the most important thing is their daily lives, like what's going on in their personal life. And that's one thing that I really try to spend. I'm very conscious of trying to spend a lot of time on, because I don't want any guys that come into that running back room to just be there for 3 or 4 years and then they out the door and they about their business. To me, it's a lifetime relationship that I want with my guys. And those are type of the conversations that you have. And really, you just be who you are. You know what I mean? You have those, you show your vulnerability to those guys. You show them that you care. And I think, they have a great appreciation for that. So that's just one thing that I really try to really be very conscious of, just focusing on what happened on in their daily lives, not just football stuff.
Yeah, Coach Sweeney says that, we're in the people business, right? We just happen to coach football. And, this is a time-consuming industry, right? You're away from your own family more than you would like to be. We're around our guys, our players, more than our family in season, that's for sure. And, for me, it's just you have to remember your why, and I think our program does such a good job of reminding us, and we have, Milt Louder, who comes in and speaks to our staff weekly, and reminding yourself of why you do what you do, because, on the outside, there's a lot of pressure that people try to put on you, right, to perform. And it does matter how you play, and it matters to win. It matters. I think at the same time, if you can remember your why, your love for your players, your desire to impact them in ways that will last, for eternity, man, it gives you the fuel to continue, right? And yeah, you got to get to the X's and O's and got to make sure your guys are ready to go play and perform on game day. But man, Coach Sweeney takes our time in team meetings. He takes our time from segment meetings at times to talk about life. And CJ knows, we've had conversations. There's been moments where, there's some things I got to cover in my segment room that's not football related per se. That's going to take me from getting to the X's and O's, because this is what really they need to hear. This is what matters most. And I think our program has had such great success and consistency because we care about the heart, right? And sometimes we have to check ourselves, and we have accountability on staff and whatnot to remind ourselves, hey, look, this is what matters, And you made a comment though in your question, Ross. You talked about how we're in charge of our players' playing time, but you also mentioned happiness, and I would have to push back on that, because yes, we're going to play the best players. The best players going to start, right? But I tell my guys, like, your identity is not in how much you play. Your identity is not in how well you play. And that's hard, because we're getting judged on our performance. I'm a position coach. I get judged on my guys' performance, right? And I own that. That's fine. At the same time, man, my identity is not based on how some other person is performing, reflecting on me, right? I have pride in that, but at the same time, I can move on, whether things happen well or poorly, right? And that's hard, and especially when you're a young teenager, right? And trying to tell them that, but man, I think they hear that enough from position coaches, from the head coach, and that's important to remember, right? It's really important to remember. And I'm getting on my soapbox a little bit here, Ross, but
okay.
But that's important, man, because you cannot let another person, another man or woman, right, give you your happiness,
yeah.
Right? That's not joy. That's circumstantial, And so wanted to share that a little bit,
No, it's good. It was poorly worded on my part because I keep thinking about, I forget who Coach Sweeney credits it, but it talks about how basically a coach controls the weather for his players and what kind of atmosphere are you creating. And that was probably more so along the lines of what I was trying to say. But, as you talk about bringing up the young guys and trying to educate them in a certain way, well, we had to educate them a little bit on who C.J. Spiller was as a player. So let's watch them react here.
Out the flat, Spiller makes the move, needs to get the vision.
Okay. That's something you can't teach.
I was on the field for that play. If you pan out, I'm blocking somewhere. It was awesome.
Explosive. It's the pass he always talking about. It's the pass.
Xavier died.
Oh, QB1. Okay. How you gotta be kidding me? Wide open. I'm sitting right up there in the box watching it.
That's funny.
The highlight for him was a low light for me.
See, he always talking about he can catch, but I never actually seen him do it into play, but it kind of looked good.
He was catching passes too.
Oh, we got a kick return. We already know this to the house. There ain't no way. Why would you kick it to the guy? There ain't no way. I'd rather kick it out of bounds.
Out of get out 2-8.
Opening, 09 right there.
Speed, falls blocker, open, blocks him. Oh, he said, "I got this."
Okay, I see you, coach.
Yo, he's so fast, man. He's insane. Set up Coach Spiller, man.
All right, I'm gonna keep this brief, and I promise we'll start talking some 2024 Tigers here in a minute. But before I go to CJ, Grish, if I gave you 30 seconds, 60 seconds to describe CJ Spiller as a player and as a teammate, how would you do it?
Man, 30 seconds. I'm like Coach Sweeney. You're going to have to take like 5 minutes. No. Just dynamic, right? Like they said, you can catch it, right? You can return kicks. I mean, that's why he's on our stadium. I mean, it's just, prolific, lightning in a bottle. I mean, that play against Georgia Tech, I was on the field for that, and like almost just kind of found myself just kind of watching like, dang, that was awesome. I'm on the field. Like maybe I should go block, but that was really cool. And that was a big game, man, just, I'll say this, man, like I blocked for him, but even on special teams, I was a front line guy, kickoff return, right? Punt return. I mean, I remember being out there with my brothers. I mean, I remember, Nelson Fairber for Clemson faithful around here, man. Fair man, like it was 07. I'll get back to you quick, real CJ, but I was saying 07. He had that punt block down in Columbia, and then man, that was awesome. So the next year, I'm on the field chirping, but we were fired up to block for CJ and Jacoby. But man, you knew those guys, if you did your job, man, they had a chance to take it to the house, and so that encouraged you to go fight and do your job, so that we could have a big play, right? And so that's a big part of it. You believed in CJ, to go do it and handle his business. So handle yours first, right? And then as a teammate, man, like what you see now, I still learn a lot from him and from his presence, from his demeanor, he brings a calmness to the room, to our staff room, which is awesome. It's needed. And as a player, man, humble, super humble. Only spoke when he felt that he needed to. And same thing goes today. Whenever he speaks, everyone listens because it's coming from wisdom and from the need to speak up. And so, really proud of him and still learning from him today.
I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate those words, man.
Absolutely, man.
Appreciate.
I mean it for real.
Well, and as those highlights come up, I'm going to take the easy answer out of this. You can't talk about moments in the locker room or moments with the guys or whatever, but if there's one single on-field play that pops to your mind when you think of your Clemson career, is there a single highlight that comes, even if it's not your favorite, what's the first one that comes to mind?
I mean, it has to be Boston College. It was my first ever college touchdown run. And then, ironically, it was literally identical to that same play against Georgia Tech. I just happened to reverse field, but that's the one that really comes to mind. And then really it was a return that Jacoby had. Can't remember who it was, and I was able to, these blocks are illegal now, I was able to blindside me a guy. I was very proud of that. And so, I mean, there was some great moments that I had with my teammates, and honestly, that's was always my mindset. That's how I played. That's how I approached the game. Like, every time I stepped on that field, I wanted to give my teammates everything I had, but also I wanted to give those fans everything I had just because of the upbringing. I knew what hard working meant. I knew, people trying to make, I know how I feel when people trying to make ends meet. So I never wanted people to leave the game and say they was disappointed in my performance. Even though you can't control everybody's opinion, I knew by the way that I played, if I played hard and I played the right way, that they can at least say, you know what, that was well worth the money spent on that ticket. That's how I kind of approach the game, and that's kind of what I try to tell my guys to this day, because you just never know. I mean, you don't know what it took for that person to try to get a ticket to watch you play. And so you don't want to go out there and just play the game. Like, you're an inspiration to people that's in the stadium and people that's watching on TV.
I love that. Cool. I love that. So you guys have some, you guys were obviously ballers, but you got some ballers right now who are performing at a really, really high level. And so we don't want to let y'all out of here before we get to talk about them a little bit. And I want to start with Grish. The growth that you have seen in the wide receivers this year, obviously a lot of folks on the outside want to pay attention to the new freshmen coming in, and they're obviously deserving of the praise they've received. But, I mean, the depth you have in your group right now and just the development you've seen year over year, what have you seen from them, and what kind of pride do you have in their performance and their growth?
Man, I'm very thankful for the leadership we have in the room. I have seen that the last couple years something special getting built. I felt that the leadership had taken another step even last year. I heard from the guys that, man, they were a really close group last year, and then heading into this year, I heard similar sentiments, but even more so. Like, it was, hey, coach, last year was really good. Man, this year's better, and that was that was the off season. I was hearing that, and then I saw, and Coach Sweeney's talked about Antonio. But Antonio, one of our core leaders, he didn't really want to be when he's a freshman, but that really wasn't his personality as much. So I've seen buy-in into getting uncomfortable a little bit, right? I mean, being a leader can be uncomfortable, and I think he's bought into that. And so, man, the leadership that he's had has been incredible. Adam Randall, phenomenal leader. Guys look up to him. Hampton Earl, a lot of people don't know his name, but he's a great leader, which has been awesome. And so the leadership has been incredible, which helps you as a coach, right? Because you got to lead, you got to inspire, and you make sure they keep that edge, and I continue to do that. But man, like, it takes the players buying in and deciding, themselves, man. So they've done that, and so the hard work pays off, and I think. I talk about you have to raise your floor. Like, if you can raise your floor, right, of this is just your standard operating procedure, right? If you can raise your floor to where, like, man, all you know is like elite effort and practice. Well, if your floor is raised and the entire group raises that, well, then you can also work on raising the roof, right? Raise your ceiling, and that's your technique, your fundamentals, and so they've bought into both, which has been cool. So you've seen better play. You've seen more consistent play. You've seen confidence. Well, confidence comes from preparation, right? It comes from putting in the work. And so hopefully I'm answering your question. But like, I'm really passionate about everything I'm saying because the guys have bought in, man. They've decided, and I'm really proud of them for making the decision. And even Troy. I mean, Troy's done better about trying to take care of his body. Antonio as well, and it's shown. They've improved on the field for sure. But I think the main thing, which goes for anybody in any profession, is just deciding to, man, chase the hard, man, chase what's tough, sacrifice, and if you do that consistently, what happens is you have a little win. Once you have a little win, well, guess what? Those stack up, right? And so they've done a good job, man, of buying in since the winter, and trying to attack every day and win the day. So I'm proud of those guys.
When you hit on one of the guys I wanted to talk about, because I wanted to talk about versatility, and I'm talking about Antonio Williams specifically. So with the rushing touchdown this past week, I want to make sure I get this right. The only Clemson player since 2000 to record a passing touchdown, rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown in a single season. CJ, of course, did it twice. Jacoby Ford in 2009 and Sammy Watkins in 2012. That's a pretty good company to be in. So We wanted to pull up a little video here, and I want to grade CJ Spiller as a passer. So we saw the one to die, but we got another one here, and I think we know the guy on the other end of it too as Joe rolls this. So look at that young buck in the end zone, wide open. Who we got there?
There it is, to my guy. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I mean, I think it was beautiful. And if I'm not mistaken, that looked like that was against Virginia, up at Virginia.
That's
correct. If I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
I mean, I just remember that game. It was, obviously it's kind of late. I want to say it was late in the year. It was kind of one of those early games, kind of cold, being up in Virginia. I mean, we had been working on this play, all week and all season, and my job was just to get it there. And for people that don't know, I played quarterback before I actually got to high school. That was my primary position, and so the throwing became easy to me. My job was just to make sure I don't throw the I and T. That was the only job. And then Grisham just did a great job of just getting open. And
I do remember, you can watch, it hung in the air forever. If I weren't open, it's not a touchdown, man. The ball was in the air forever. Kind of like Antonio's. Antonio's pass this last week was.
Well, funny you should mention that. Joe Robbins. So we're going to show both of Antonio's pass completions this year. First against Wake, and this one a little bit of a rope to
a dime.
To Jake.
That was nice.
But then
let's my son would say a dot.
Yeah, that's a dot. Well, this one there's another word starting with D for this one. What is it? Yeah. Troy might have needed to call fair catch on that one.
Yeah. It was the pink gloves. He was like trying to make an excuse. They were tackier than the other one. I don't know. He's
See,
what a finish.
Ross, if he would have came to me, I would have told him,
take the glove off.
No, you ain't even got to take the glove off. I had that same presentation against Virginia. You throwing on the run, and you look at that one, Antonio, he's trying to throw on the run, so you kind of got to have great ball placement. And so he didn't come for the advice, and now you got the duck going in the air.
Rewind it. This is actually something he tucks. He does his job. Watch, he tucks it.
He
right?
tuck it. Yeah.
He might have tucked it for a step too long. I don't know. Maybe a step too long, but he did his job trying to sell it right.
Yeah, but when your guy's gonna be open, you ain't got to sell it much. You just got to get it there.
Get it out there.
Yeah, so that's the trust you got to have in your receiver.
The form looks all right though.
But yeah, that's definitely duck season.
CJ was saying on his throw, he just had to make sure it got there. I've been around you and Coach Sweeney enough to know it's make the catch required. Well, you're making the throw required, right?
Yeah.
Made the throw required.
He gave him a chance.
He gave him a chance.
I asked at the start the years you both played at Clemson because I want to talk. Obviously, it's a privilege and a responsibility to lead a group of young men no matter what, right?
Right.
But for you all to have the privilege and responsibility to lead a group of young men at positions at a school for which you played, I mean, what is that privilege and responsibility like for you all?
I think it's a great privilege and responsibility, and I think it's. I think you have kind of a little more skin in the game, I guess you would say, because you'd have been through, what these guys have been through. You'd have kind of helped, build up this program, and the grind that it takes. Not saying that other places don't do it, but when you'd have been in it and the passion that you have for it, I think it puts an extra responsibility on yourself. But also, you have to be conscious of not wanting these guys to try to do what you done. And I'm very, very, very conscious of that because that can easily be put upon these kids of, okay, you need to do it like Coach Grisham or you need to do it like Coach Spiller. And that's one of the first things I try to tell guys, no, I just need you to do it like Maffa. I need you to do it like Haynes. And so I think you just take a lot of pride. Not saying that other guys that's on our staff don't take pride into it, but when you done played here and you having the chance to coach, man, you take a lot of pride into it, because man, the steps that it took to get to where this program's at.
Grish?
Yeah, man, one quote that I have in our room that I've adopted from the All Blacks is our legacy is more intimidating than our opponent.
Oh, I love that.
I like that.
And, man, I just, I do, and it matters how our guys play, and there's people that have come before us, right? I mean, 05 to 08, shoot, I've been playing football here 129 years, right? So I think, man, I do. I mean, when former players and fans watch our team play, man, I want them to be proud, right? It's how we play, not who we play. And so it does matter, and I think in recruiting too, having played here, Coach says too, man, like we're not just wearing a new hat this year. Oh, I got hired by this team. Here's my new hat. Like I'm going to start selling you on said program. But, this is home. This is home. Where I had great experience. Got my degree. I got to play ball at a high level. I met my wife here. Great friends that are still great friends to this day. So it's home. And so it matters. Maybe a little bit more. If I were somewhere else. And so very thankful with the experience I've had so far and the year we're having, and let's keep it rolling.
So both of you were kind of in on the ground floor of the Coach Sweeney era of Clemson football. Obviously been playing here a long time, but speaking specifically about his tenure, at the start of the video for the Ring of Honor, Coach Sweeney says to camera, "Why did Clemson choose C.J. Spiller to go in the Ring of Honor?" Because C.J. Spiller chose Clemson. What was it, and you talked about it earlier as well, what was that mutual belief between you and Coach Sweeney, and what kind of difference did that make?
I just think it just goes back to just recruiting and not just talking about, football all the time. And I think that's kind of what that belief was, because, a lot of people may know or may not know, like when I was coming out of high school, like my daughter was born, Shania, who's, a freshman here at Clemson now. And so a bunch of our conversations was geared towards fatherhood. How's that going to look with me being 6 hours away, from Lake Butler? And so with everybody else, it was just all about just come be a great football player. And to me, that just didn't sit well with me. I wanted something much bigger than that. And I think it was just that belief of like, hey, you come here, you're going to be able to be around great men, that's great fathers, great husbands. Like you're going to be able to experience that. And then when I came up here, I was able to see that. And so I think it was just that belief that he had in this program. I think it goes back to, even though Coach Sweeney didn't even play here, he had such a strong belief into how he went about himself of recruiting and selling a program that it was just different. And I think that's, to me, ultimately put him over the edge of everybody else.
Coach Sweeney, as we tape this, is sitting at 176 career wins, all-time winningest coach, leading an ACC program. But there was a time he had only one win. And now the We Win, We Dance celebration has grown and become what it is. But there was a cold night in Boston, Massachusetts, in Chestnut Hill. And we've got Grish in both of these photos. Grish, tell me what you're looking at and just your memories of this moment.
Yeah, it's really cool. I have a different photo. I mean, similar, but I guess it's another frame. I need to get these.
No, you had a little more curlier in that picture, Grish. It's a little more curlier. Now it's kind of more straight.
She wants me to grow it back out, but it's just it's a pain. But man, so I have a photo, similar photo of Coach Sweeney signed at my office. But Mike Dooley gave me before he walked in. He gave me a ball and said, "Hey, give this to Coach Sweeney. Give him the game ball." And I'm like, all right, what am I going to say? And so I kept it short and sweet, but I said, all right, to Coach Sweeney, the first of many wins. And really awesome, that was captured. Had no idea. And so, yeah, I remember, right, being a part of that and being right behind him, Gatorade bath. And so, man, time flies. But, man, very, very thankful to have Coach Sweeney in my life. And, he kind of like CJ, I've known him since I was a little kid, and many people probably know that story. It's been written about before, but he was my first offer, right? And I took it and I said, "Yes, sir." Like I'm committed right now, like right then, And man, it's one of the best decisions, for sure. One of the best decisions I've ever made. My dad really wasn't going to let me do anything else other than commit on the spot. But man, thankful for Coach Sweeney for sure.
So talking about the current team now, we were going to have Coach Luke come on and talk about the O-line a little bit, but y'all know O-line folks don't like talking about themselves too much. So we figured we'd go to some folks that might be able to speak a little bit on their behalf and the success they're having this year. Frankly, despite a great team win in the Gator Bowl, a tough day for them against Kentucky in the Gator Bowl to end last year with 8 sacks, have only allowed 6 through 7 games so far this season. How integral has the offensive line been to success that both of your units are having this year?
That's where it starts at. People that know football know it has to start up front, and those guys, if they're not doing their job, then our guys, the skilled guys, not able to go out and do what they've been able to do so far. So, to me, all the success goes to the guys up front, because to me that's where it starts. And them guys, you can see the swagger they playing with, the confidence they playing with, the joy they playing with. I mean, they just having fun. And I think Coach Luke kind of brought that in and instilled that into those guys. And, I mean, the toughness, I mean, just the tenacity that it takes to play that position. I mean, you see it on a weekly basis. And like you say, to only give up 6 sacks so far, I mean, that's just remarkable.
Well, and actually, Grish, I'm going to jump in here, too, and ask Joe to roll the video, because it's not just the offensive line. The job that your receivers and the tight ends have done in the running game, I mean, this is for both of you. How critical is the blocking on the perimeter, and what kind of improvement have you seen in that year over year?
Yeah, I mean, it's less technique. I forgot about that one. That was good by TJ there. It's less about technique, man. It's about want to, and sacrifice, and so they, again, kind of going back to the guys deciding, right? I mean, coaching is sometimes overrated, right? The guys got to go do it, and thankful they've decided, and again, it goes back to what I was saying with CJ. Like, you got a quarterback you believe in, right? You're gonna go and expect the ball every play, right? And our guys have believe in Cade, and I think too they believe in the O-line, right? To do their job and to hold up, And so, man, when everybody's working together, man, you can accomplish a lot, And if you believe in one another and you put the work in and show, that you can count on one another, right? You can accomplish some great things, and yeah, I mean, I echo everything that CJ just said. Man, Coach Luke has been great. Been great for our room, and older. Let me respectfully say, slightly older, not old. All right, Coach, you're not old. He's got energy like a dang teenager, man. So I mean, he's not, but he's got, I should say, seasoned, right? I mean, he's experienced and seasoned, and that's helped us as a staff. And so the guys believe in them, and we'll fight for them. And I think that's the mark of a great coach, right? Is that they'll go to battle for you as well.
The PR guy in the room would say the veteran, the veteran in the room. Yeah,
coach me up.
I mean, and he's, not only has he been great for just the players, though. Honestly, Ross, he's been great for our staff.
Really,
I mean, just the things I've been able to learn up under him, and the way he sees defenses, and the way that you can attack them. It's been tremendous for me being a young coach, especially being a running backs coach, because the running back and the O-line, they play hand in hand when it comes to the run game. And so it's been really, really awesome for me to just be able to just go and sit down and just talk football with him. And then not only that, just talk life. I mean, he has been tremendous. He got some of the best jokes that you can imagine.
You have to have phenomenal one-liners if you're an O-line coach.
Got it.
Like that's a prerequisite to getting hired. Like, do you have some great one-liners? Share them with me. Okay, that's part of the job interview.
Well, and the king of those, Robbie Caldwell, is still residing in the building as well, former offensive coach. So, no doubt. That certainly tracks. So, CJ, as far as the two primary starters you've had in your tenure here with Will Shipley and Phil Maffa, and then Grish, I'll come to you with the groups you've coached as well. I want to know, you were an incredible, complete player here at Clemson, but if you could take one skill or one attribute from somebody you've coached, whether it's Phil or Will or anybody else, if you could have taken one skill or attribute from one of those guys and added it to your game, what would you take?
I would take I'll take something from Phil. I'll take just his power. I mean, for the last 2 weeks, it started in Florida State when he ran number 24 over, and then it went over to Wake Forest, and when he got 43. And I think if I just had just that little bit, I think that would have helped me out a little more. Because everybody just knew me as a speed guy. Like I was strong, but they really didn't respect my game as the power guy like James Davis. And so I would love to take the power that Phil has, because what he done the last 2 weeks to people's safety, and I told this to Phil after the Wake Forest game. I said, Phil, if that was my son, I would have been by y'all buses, and we would have had a conversation. We would have had a conversation. But that would be one thing. But, I mean, both of those guys has been great to be able to coach them. Obviously, I wasn't part of their recruiting, but to be able to coach them, it truly has meant a lot. They really have set the standard for what the running back room should be, and I'm forever grateful for both of those guys and looking forward to finishing strong with Phil.
And Grish, you've got some guys back to Cornell and Amari. We'll count it specifically in your wide receivers coaching tenure. We'll accept.
I can't count all the other. I'm kidding.
I'll let you take one of each.
We've had some dudes come through here.
Yeah.
What would I take?
Yeah.
For my own game?
For your own game. If we could add that, if we could have added that to the Tyler Grisham that caught the pass
CJ
from CJ.
had like one thing he lacked. Like I need a lot. I need a lot more. I need a lot more. Oh,
Mike
man.
Williams' length, DeAndre Hopkins'
Well,
hands,
okay,
Jacoby Ford speed.
Right. I mean, come on, guys.
The Madden creative
this
player.
Is this supposed to be like a joke question? Like,
you had a good overall. I mean,
if you could pick one, what would have been the one you're like, man?
Like one attribute of any of the players?
Yeah.
Man, again, I need a lot. But you know what? Here's the thing. Like my endurance was so bad, man. Like if I had, I don't know. I'll say this: like Wesco covers so much ground when he runs. Like if I could have, I'm short. I mean, it's going to take height. It's going to take I don't know. But man, he just covers so much ground, and the endurance that he has, taking like 2 steps every 7 yards or 8 yards. I mean, it's crazy. That would have really helped me. All right, my little legs running around. Like if I make one juke move, like CJ can make a lot of juke moves and then take it to the house. I could not do that. I could get you 10 yards, man. I could get you a first down, but like after one juke, it's about over for me. So
I would say this about Grish. Grish was the third down king. Like everybody knew on our offense, and we had some prolific players.
Receiver.
Listen, we had some prolific players.
Shocker, right?
But on third down, everybody knew where the ball was going. Fine 13. Like everybody knew that.
Well, and he's not the only person for whom that applied, right? We had some folks come after him for which that was the case as well.
Yes, he was
largely forgotten at Ross. That's
but
if I'm honest, there's a lot of 13s.
He's the original 13, and I think he done a great job. He was awesome. I mean, you talk about those. I mean, show the receivers block, and I think, this guy was cutting defensive ends and wasn't hesitant about doing it.
Used to be so easy to cut.
He was tough.
Man. I wish our guys could still cut, man.
Yeah.
That was so much easier than having to.
He could have used a little more elusiveness. I say that he could have used a little more looseness.
Why are you highlighting my negatives right now? That was not where we're trying to go with this, bro.
Ross, if he would have just came to the shop, I would have tuned him up. I would have tuned him up.
Yeah, but this is not a shot at Grish, but this is a reminder that God gave you a different engine than most. I don't know that's a tune-up in the shop. That's
you probably like a V. What they call it, V4, I think. You probably V4.
A what now?
A V4.
A V4.
Like a 4-cylinder.
Yeah, 4-cylinder. Yeah.
We need to have a follow-up podcast after this. All right,
but
this started out great.
Hey,
I take back everything I said about you earlier.
The door to Studio C of the Clemson Athletics Branding Institute is always open for return podcast guests. Before we get out of here, we had to go to one more piece of video because again, I'm a football nobody. I'm just a communications guy, so I need some coaching feedback here. This is Tony Elliott. Obviously, great to have him back in Memorial Stadium this past week. Well, you're going to see a completion here as Joe rolls the footage. I need to know, is this a ball in jeopardy?
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that's past ball in jeopardy. Oh man, you know what? I need to send this. Just a little highlight. I need to text this to Coach Elliott and just put B-I-J with like 50 J's at the end.
Jeopardy.
Definitely.
B-I-J stands for ball in jeopardy. What do as I say, not as I do, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's a great coach.
Can you wind that again?
Great coach.
Great catch, went down and got it, and wow.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
right there.
8. That's 7 or 8. B-I-J's right there.
That's how you catch it. However, you do not run with
But at the very end, I'm wondering why did he reach it out at the very end? Did he try to reach it over the end? Like, let me see. Okay,
here we go. We're going to see it a little
That's
bit
a great
slow-mo.
catch, though. A
Went
good
down
low
there and
hands
got
catch.
it. Okay. Oh yeah, it's definitely away from the body. Wow.
Dare I say?
I like it. Great. Hey, he finished the catch with the eyes. I have learned that from receivers. Finished the catch with the eyes.
You're either coaching it or allowing it to happen. Coach Sweeney was his
was
receivers coach right there.
Exactly. Coach Sweeney was the receivers coach at that moment.
So the verdict's in. We get a minus for ball security here.
Yo, yes.
Okay. All right, just wanted to double check, but it was I'm sure for you all as well. I mean, a lot of folks on this staff, great relationships with Coach Elliott. Really great to see him back home in Memorial Stadium in Death Valley, and I know for you all as well, a lot of respect for what he's building with Virginia, how hard they played, how well coached they are, and so it seems like that was the feeling for you all as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think Grisham, he probably spent more time with him on staff than I did, but the 2 years that I had the chance to build around him, I mean, just great, honestly, just great. I mean, just knew how to command the room, was very appreciative of everybody's role, never wanted to take the credit for anything, and then just the words of wisdom that he always brought to our staff, was always on time. But then he also knew how to loosen up the room. Like he can always gauge how the temperature was in the room, and he done a great job of knowing how to just come in and just loosen everybody up and just have fun. And so those are the things that you love about him, and the things that you just carry on, that you was able to learn up under.
Yeah, I mean, even to this day, a guy that greatly respect and stay in touch with, and want to rely upon, because I'm not surprised at the success he's already having and will continue to have. But man, you're exactly right, and learned a lot from him. And he was a humble leader, a sacrificial leader. He's a follower of Christ. I mean, and I think that's the main reason why he can operate the way he does. And great family man, as well. Like trying to balance all that can be hard, but man, he tried to make a point of that and showed it. And so, yeah, I mean, just learned a lot from him, and was thankful to have those years, as an analyst too, right? And then was able to be a position coach under him, and very supportive, even through the ups and downs we've had, and very supportive and a steady person, even through trial, right? And Galatians talks about that, one of his favorite verses, right? To stand firm under trial, and you'll receive the crown if you continue. And so yeah, man, just very thankful for him, and excited to see what he continues to do moving forward.
Yeah, and I would say he's very relatable. Like literally, like he can relate to anyone. I think that has a lot to do with his, what he'd have been through in life, but. That was one of the first little things, because I kind of sit back and I kind of observe people and kind of get a gauge. But, man, he is very relatable, like just can relate to anyone, and kind of just put himself in that position. And I think that's kind of what separate him from a lot of people. And then, like Grisham said, you're not surprised by the success that he's having, the ups and downs. I mean, he's the perfect man for the job that's at Virginia right now. I think he's doing a phenomenal job, and he's going to continue to do that. And I know those kids, when they look back at their time that they'd have had to spend with him, they're going to be very appreciative because of the time that the investment that he's putting into them.
Well, guys, we're going to let you get back to what you're doing. I know it's an open date, but it's definitely not an off week, as y'all like to say, and Coach Sweeney likes to say, that Clemson's playing Clemson every week, and Clemson's got to get better this week. So we'll let y'all get back to it. That'll wrap us up here in Studio C of the Clemson Athletics Branding Institute. For Tyler Grisham and CJ Spiller, I'm Ross Taylor. We appreciate you watching the Two Right Turns podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe everywhere you listen and watch, and we'll see you next time.